Okay, once you get to the Brainy Camp Manipulatives website, go ahead and click on Algebra Tiles. After you click on Algebra Tiles, go down to the bottom right, and we're going to change it from Basic to Solving. And that's going to bring up an equation mat. Okay, and so we're going to start with grabbing a couple of the longer algebra tiles that are going to represent the variables. So let's just do two right here. And the green ones are going to represent positives, and the yellow ones are also going to represent positives. Now, the x's are going to represent the variables, and the ones are just going to represent constants. So let's just say, for example, we have that right here. Then we can also do copying, drag and drop. So once we drag it to where we want it, we can actually copy, and then you can also duplicate this as well. Okay, so let's make sure we have this set up. You can rotate that if you want, just to get familiar with it. Okay, and you can actually rotate these as well. So you can flip the variables on its side. Okay, so now we're going to get into the writing the equation part of the models. So now that we're familiar with this, so you can use the marker. So on the left, we have two variables, and the variable is x, so we're going to call that 2x. And then we have plus 1, 2, 3, 4. Since they're positive, we're going to write that as plus 4. And then on the right hand side, we're going to have 8. So in this equation, just writing the equation out, on the left side, we have the variable being multiplied by 2 and adding 4. Okay, so this one is multiplying and adding on the left side, and then it is equal to some value on the right side. So just to be familiar with this, you may put the marker back down, and then if you scroll down, there's going to be a clear all button here. So before you clear it, just notice the little I can turn the equation on and off, and it will actually balance for you once we get to the solving part. Go ahead and clear it. Okay, here's the next example. Go ahead and drag out. We're going to do 3x's. So you're going to practice along with us. And then you're going to model out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so now let's write our equation here. So on the left side, we have 3x, and then there's 8 negatives. So we count all the negatives. So these are going to be the constants. And so it's 8 negatives, or we can just do subtracting 8. So you're taking away 8, and then that is equal to, looks like we have 4, positive 4, or just 4 on the right hand side. All right, and then this one is called the coefficient. Coefficient. All right, let's clean that up a little bit. So on the left side of this equation, so on the left side, it looks like we are multiplying and subtracting on the left side of this equation. Okay, so we have negative x, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm actually going to show you something here. You highlight these, and you can actually switch the sign of all of them. Okay, so I wanted to switch the sign of them and then add a few more to set up this this equation. Okay, so now on the left side, let's write our equation. So we just have 1x, and it's negative. So that is that's going to be our coefficient. And then we have our constant, which is going to be 6 positives, and that's going to be equal to, we have negative 8 on the right. Okay, so now just one thing to pay attention to, you can put the 1x there, or you could just write it as negative x plus 6 is equal to negative 8, and this means the same thing. Okay, so the first expression is the same as the second expression. We don't always put the 1 out front. Okay, so here on the left side, again, we're multiplying by a negative, and then we are adding 6. So we're multiplying by negative 1, and then we're adding 6. And then all of that equals negative 8 on the right side. Okay, now, before I clear all this, I wanted to show something here. So if we move all of this to the right side, and then we move all of this to the left side, all right, now notice we have negative 8 is equal to negative 6 plus 1. Okay, so even though we switch signs, this equal sign is saying that whatever we put on the left side, if we switch it over to the opposite sides, as long as they're on opposite sides of the equal sign, we're still saying the same thing of whether it's on the left side or the right side. And let's just do that one more time. So we move the negative 8 over here, and then we move the negative x plus 6 to the other side, and then we just double check this again. So negative 8 is equal to negative x plus 6. So that is one of the properties of equations. So whether the variable is on the left side or the variable is on the right side, as long as there's an equal sign in the middle, we can still set it up in order to solve. Okay, and so I want to go through one more example here, but here we have a positive variable and the variable is on the right side. And so we're going to write x. So we're going to write x. So we have the variable x, but this variable is actually cut into 3 pieces. So we can represent that as dividing by 3. And so that's our variable x divided by 3. And then we have negative 2. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So in this situation, we have negative 2, and then there's x over 3. So since these are positive, we're going to put the sign out front to the left. And so we could write it as negative 2 plus x divided by 3. Or because of the commutative property, we can actually switch these around. And we can actually do x divided by 3 x divided by 3 minus 2, and that's equal to 9 on the other side. So the x is positive and the 2 is negative, or we're subtracting, and that would be equal to the expression down below, where x divided by 3 is positive and the 2 is negative, and we would still end up with the same result.